May vlog. We are back in London. We seem to be spending loads of time down here. We're down for 3 days this time, got loads of property, fun and shenanigans happening from Thursday through to Saturday. First stop is Nicole Bremner's apartment that we came to see like in July last year. Harrington Gardens back on the market, so it'll be great to see the finished product here. I think we might be interrupting another interview that Nicole's doing with Murat, but we'll see how we're getting on. Hello.
Come in. So this looks completely different to when you were here last. Let me fluff the cushion.
Yeah, we can do some cool like fade from what it was, if I can get the angles right, because I remember we stood right here and got set up with the mics and everything, didn't we?
Well, we got a really good shot from like to the right of that TV in that way,
yeah.
Definitely. My favourite feature in this whole place is the timber. The timber is just spectacular.
It is
staircase.
amazing, yeah.
There's over 300 individual pieces of timber in this balustrade. This is the whiskey room. Whiskey room. I thought it would be a really nice place to retire.
Oh wow.
To have a whiskey, look out across the rooftops, and yeah, contemplate life.
Are you going to sell it fully furnished, or?
Hopefully. We sold our last luxury property, actually the last two we sold fully furnished. So I'm hoping someone comes in here and just, yeah, I'll take everything. Yeah, it's a concern. I don't think this is going to sell quickly, but then again, as I was saying, you just need that one buyer who falls in love with this property, and it stands out in a sea of greige, and all the flats around here tend to look very similar, and whereas this one's just so unique with all the timber and the way that it's got these architecturally designed features, that I think that this will be very memorable to people. It's not going to blend in with anything else that they look at.
Okay, next step on our tour is a property networking meeting in Brooklands. Mark and William Stokes meeting, but they've got Daniel Priestley speaking tonight, and I've been wanting to see him for a long time, so heading over there now. And Mo, who was on the podcast recently, is going to take us there because we bumped into him at Nicole's. He was doing an interview with her for his podcast. So yeah, here he is, taking us to Brooklands.
Without further ado, I'd like to welcome you on stage, Daniel Priestley. Really hard to become in the top 10% of your industry, and you've gone from 24 grand to 51,000. And you might at that point start thinking, what is the point? I'm just working so hard. I'm advancing, but it hasn't seemed to pay off. And at this point, you ask yourself the question, am I even in the right industry? Maybe I need to get into something new.
In Oversubscribed, you talk about having customers lining up around the block for whatever it is that you're selling, right? What approaches have you seen property developers take when they're looking to raise finance from private investors?
The question is if you wanted to get raising finance from private investors, can you use the oversubscribed methodology? So 100% raising finance actually almost always depends on being oversubscribed. So at the big end of town, they really know this. Have you heard the terminology that this IPO is oversubscribed? So when you have a Goldman Sachs underwriting an IPO, the job of Goldman Sachs is to get that IPO oversubscribed. You want to raise 300 million, they want 500, 600, 700 million worth of committed funds, people who have said they're going to put money into the IPO to be signed on.
So that was a pretty productive first day yesterday. Always great to catch up with Nicole, and the event last night was actually really worth making the trip down for. I've said it loads in the past that for me, when I'm looking for education, I really want to go outside the property world, and Daniel Priestley talks about a lot of things that are relative to property investors, but he is not a property investor himself, so he's got a lot of different perspectives, and I think that's really important. If we all just learn from other property investors, we're all going to end up doing the same things, nothing will be unique, and we need to really stand out and differentiate ourselves to build our own brands. So I think Daniel is someone that I definitely want to be spending some more time with in the future. Also just want to say a massive thank you to Mo for becoming our informal tour guide yesterday, making sure we got safely from Nicole's place in Kensington right out to Brooklands and then back home again last night. We recorded the podcast with him last week. It went out yesterday, which will probably be last week by the time we release this video if you're keeping up with me, so check that out. He's a great guy. Similar sort of situation to us, just building his portfolio, working on lots of different things, being active, looking to help people out, and he's got his own podcast now as well, so check that out. But today is Friday, a bit more of a relaxed day today. The real kind of secondary reason, or I guess the second main reason that we're down is for tomorrow for Brendon's Property Developers Summit. So today is a bit of a quiet day. We're just going to head into London, get a bit of brunch, do a little bit of shopping maybe, and then later on today we're catching up with the guys at Landsight, and we're catching up with Alex Harrington Griffin and his new wife Paloma, so it'll be good to see them and see what they're up to as well.
We have the legend down here, like if it's a company it's red, if it's beach colored or whatever, it's a corporate body, local content for, so on. Okay. And you don't have to use land registry because we're a direct partner with them. Yeah. So any title on land registry you can get and have it much easier accessible here.
Mike, can I just introduce you? So do you want to come up for just a moment?
Can I keep my camera on?
Do you want me to hold your camera?
No, it's fine, I can hold it.
Okay, so Mike is from Inside Property Podcast, more than just that. Look, fascinating stories you've had. You've had the likes of Nicole Bremner on the podcast, over 200 podcasts?
Yeah, 207 or so now.
Okay. So do you want to, can I leave you the microphone for just 1 minute, and do you want to say something about what you're doing?
Sure, thank you. Yeah, so I mean our background is investing and developing up in the northwest in Manchester predominantly. We also started telling property stories a couple of years ago through our podcast, and that has developed into a whole host of different content on tips and tools for property investors, stories about how people got started, case studies on different projects, and a lot of information that we just try to share to help other people succeed.
English planning law is a mess. The process can be mystifying at times, even for the most experienced of developers, let alone lay people. That's not very encouraging, is it? No further ado, I'll invite our panel up, try and find your picture. So let's say things maybe like housing supply numbers, greenbelt reviews, housing quotes if they're falling short.
We're looking to put together some sort of a lobbying group so that small developers like us actually have a seat at the table.
Following that panel with Alex and Nicole and a bunch of other experts, we had to make a mad dash for our train, as always seems to be the case whenever we're leaving London. And that kind of wraps up this week's vlog, so hope you enjoyed it as usual. I'd obviously massively appreciate it if you can subscribe to our channel, like this video. We've got a lot of content available and a lot more content coming. It's always good to keep up with you guys as well. I love hearing from you, so feel free to post a comment below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.